What is up, everyone? Welcome back to CageChat MMA. We're here to preview the first UFC pay-per-view of the year, UFC 297. We're back in Toronto, Canada, and obviously the UFC came back last weekend, but this feels like the real start, the true start. We've got a title on the line. We've got two title fights on the line. Of course, we've got the middleweight title and the vacant bantamweight title on the line in Toronto, and it feels like let's be honest. The card on paper doesn't feel like a pay-per-view worthy card. It feels a bit like the a fight night with a title on the line, and I think that's why they put Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis on this to give it that pay-per-view factor, especially in the United States, where Sean Strickland is becoming a bit of a star, despite the username and what he says in press conferences and how he tweets. He he is taking a bit of the limelight and coming into 2024, you know, as one of not the major starters, but one of the fan favourites, I suppose you could call him. Of course, he picked up the title with his shock victory against Israel Adesanya, whereas Dricus Du Plessis also shocked the world, coming into his number one contender status with a win against, of course, Robert Whittaker. It's up to you which one you find the more impressive win. I think Du Plessis' sort of annihilation of Robert Whittaker and finish of Robert Whittaker is almost more impressive. But the fact that very few people, on Sean Strickland's side to win the fight against Adesanya, that's equally impressive than the fact that he knocked him down in round one. Both of them are huge upsets. We thought Israel Adesanya would be the champ. Now he got his belt back from Alex Pereira, dethroned and defeated his nemesis. And of course, similar to the featherweight division, we thought Robert Whittaker was a clear number one contender. It would be rinse and repeat for Whittaker and set up potentially a trilogy. But neither of those things happened. And we are here now. It's clear to see neither of these two like each other. I know in Embedded they seem to have qualmed and squashed the beef, but is that for show or is it, what's the crack going on there? Because obviously we saw the press conference where it got very heated. We saw UFC 296 where the two were together. And that, again, exploded in the UFC space. So are we in for a classic fight? Are we in for a... it's a very interesting bout because, again, there isn't a major superstar in play. It feels like the coming of age or the moment where one of these two really announces themselves. And unfortunately, it feels like neither of these are the best in their division at the minute. So maybe there's a bit of tainted applause for their victory. Because you think Adesanya, you think if Pereira came back down, however unlikely that would be, you still think Robert Whittaker might be the best all-rounder in this division. It's hard to cherry pick who's the best in this division right now. And obviously you got a few coming up. Robert Delizio's fighting very soon. He's definitely one you'd put potentially money on to become a champion one day. But back to the main event, Sean Strickland. We know what Sean Strickland brings. He is looking more ripped the last 12 months. Whether he put his career more seriously or he's just naturally coming to his prime. He has been in fantastic form. Of course, 3 fights in a row. He's won now, especially coming off the back of how he ended 2022, coming off that defeat to Jared Cannonier, being knocked out by Alex Pereira in the July of that year as well. But he put 2023, to right, 3 wins. Of course, Nassourdine Imavov, Abbas Magomedov, he finished, and of course, then became champion with the win against Adesanya. Obviously, Dricus Du Plessis. Similarly, he's had a fantastic ride into the UFC, beating Brad Tavares, then finishing Darren Till, Derek Brunson, and Whittaker. So he's had 3 stoppages in a row. Of course, there's a lot made of that nose surgery that he had, and how that played a factor, of course, potentially in the Robert Whittaker fight. Now he's got a clear nose, he can breathe, he can, not gas the tank so quickly. So we saw that against Darren Till in particular. And we know Sean Strickland can put the pressure on over 5 rounds. Because we see him do 5 rounds, whether he wins or loses consistently against Jack Hermansson, Cannonier, Imavov. Of course, Abbas Magomedov was a main event. And of course, so was Adesanya, so he's been scheduled for 5 rounds for a long time now. And he's had to put in the work. So we know he's got the gas tank for it. So it's a real tough fight to really pick out a winner. We'll look at of course, the Taylor tape. Of course, 28-5, Sean Strickland there against 20-2. Both got the same reach advantage, but of course, Sean Strickland, the other side of 30, of course. Dricus is 29, had his birthday this week. So happy birthday to Dricus Du Plessis. Could he be rounding out his birthday week as a champion? I think it's a shot he does it. I think he's a better all-rounder than Sean Strickland. I think he can wrestle a bit better than Sean Strickland. But we know where Sean Strickland trains and the nature of that gym and how successful that gym's been in the past. And the intensity that Sean Strickland trains at. He's in his prime, and again, you could equally see him come out victorious. Does it go 5 rounds? I think it goes at least 3. I think the first round maybe is Sean Strickland using his boxing to gain the distance, to gauge the distance, gain a bit of advantage. Maybe Du Plessis tries to get the takedown similarly as he did against Till. You can see that happening in the first round. There'd been a bit of a massacre, but Sean Strickland withstanding that because we know how tough it is. Although surely the amount of training and sparring he does and how he spars will come up to catch up with him in the future. So when and where that may be, who knows? We know Dricus hits hard. He's on 3 fight finishes in a row. I'm going to edge it towards South Africa. I think Dricus gets it done this weekend. And I know it's hard on Sean Strickland because Sean Strickland has put the work in the last 12 months to get to the position he's been in. But I think Dricus is better than Sean Strickland all round. I think he can out-wrestle him. I think he can definitely knock him out. I think he's got better kicking than him. And how has the life of the champion been for Sean Strickland? He has somewhat... In some places, he's very likeable and quite relatable. Other places, you just want to slap him, so to speak, and put his PR team aside and go, hey, what are you doing here? Stop making him tweet, or stop him from tweeting this and saying this. He's almost a PR nightmare for the UFC. But he is the champion, and rightly so, and, freedom of speech and everything, but he does take it too far. But I do think Du Plessis gets the win, and probably sets up the fight against Adesanya that we wanted to see last year. Of course, that's supposed to be the fight that Sean Strickland took. It was supposed to be Du Plessis, but he's injured. Steps aside, and of course, the whole division took a whole shaking because of it. But I think if Dricus wins, Adesanya will probably be next in line. And I think Du Plessis gets it done within 3 or 4 rounds. I do think it'll go over 3. I can't see it going to 5 rounds, though. Just purely the basis of neither of these two. Well, if it does go to 5 rounds, I think Sean Strickland's edged out a decision or made it a 50-45. If there's a finish involved, I think Du Plessis gets the finish. And within 3 or 4 rounds, I think he gets it done. I think it's going to be quite even in the first 2. And then 3-4 is when we see the skill take over and really see who the best man is. But yeah, I'm going to predict that Dricus Du Plessis will be middleweight champion when we wake up Sunday morning. In the co-main event, of course, it is the vacant Bantamweight title. Now, this division's been up in the air since Amanda Nunes retired back in June or July. It was might be even last year now that she retired. 2022, that being. She's been out of the sport for a long time. This division, as is the featherweight division, been up in the air. I think the featherweight has gone now. But the bantamweight has been in limbo, and we finally come to this weekend where we see someone get crowned champion. Of course, I think it was one of the guys up on Twitter, Andy Hickey, said that this is maybe the second time in 12 years, or since the birth of the division, that Nunes or Rousey hasn't been in a title bout, which shows you the domination that those two had on this division in particularly. And again, when Khabib relinquished the title, this feels like the second best, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like you're watching the best. But Raquel Pennington is on a 5-fight win streak, of course. Mayra Bueno Silva is, of course, on a 4-fight win streak. So both these companies on hot form. Obviously, her last win, a no contest with home back in July, of course. Bueno Silva, obviously, she previously had finishes against Lena Landsberg, Stephanie Egger, in that build up to this title fight as well. So she's got good wins in the name. Obviously, Raquel Pennington's been there, done that, won the t-shirt. She's had title fights in the past and lost them. So this feels like a bit of a Bisping moment, you could say, for her, couldn't you? She's at the latter stage of her career, 35 years of age. She's got a win over against Ketlin Vieira, Aspen Ladd, submitted Macy Kiesson. She's on a 5-fight win streak, as I said, Marion Renault. And she has been at the very top of the sport. She's been in main events before. she was there when I first watched the UFC 205. Of course, she beat Miesha Tate, put Miesha Tate into a temporary retirement at that point, and she's just been slowly grinding away. She's had a few injuries. I believe she had a terrible quad bike accident which broke her leg, and she's done well to get through it. And I do think Raquel Pennington will be champion again when we wake up on Sunday morning. When I look at the tail, I take 15-9 against 10-2-1. Obviously, Raquel Pennington does have the inch advantage on I want to say challenger, but she's not a challenger, Bueno Silva. And of course, she's got 3 years advantage as well in age. Now, again, I do think Raquel gets it done. I think she is at that top end of the division. She's been there for a long time. And as I just mentioned, I think it is a bit of a Bisping moment for her. She's come to the top of the hill so many times and fallen. This time I think she climbs over it and gets her hand raised. I do think that goes 5 rounds though. I do think that becomes a decision and potentially a very close fight for both of them. But it's about time we had a Bantamweight champion again, and going into 2024 is much needed. And some fresh blood also. It opens it up again for the likes of Holly Holm and Miesha Tate. I know both of them have fought. Raquel Pennington and obviously Bueno Silva has fought Holm. So maybe if you look at the Miesha Tates of this world, who she was supposed to fight in June, it does open a division up again. Maybe Nunes return, who knows? I doubt it because she's living a loving family life. But she might get itchy feet, and UFC 300 around the corner. If there's a quick finish, do you bring the GOAT back and say Nunes versus Rocky 2 or 3? It might be. It would be an interesting one, wouldn't it? But yeah, I think Raquel Pennington gets the victory this weekend. Neil Magny against Mike Malott, and this is what I was saying before. Obviously, he's a Canadian headliner, so to speak. He's the last Canadian making the warp. This is where it feels like a UFC London card, right? We had the UFC, 286, I think, in London back in August, and the UFC prior to that was in March, felt a lot stronger. It was the first one in a few years, and it did feel a lot of a stronger card with a lot more Brits, and there was a lot more success on that for British MMA than maybe the pay-per-view was. That was a bit more up and down, and this has the same sort of vibe. Of course, with Michael Gordon opening the card, if he gets off to a fantastic win, and you got Jasmine Jazzus Davicius, I know I butchered that, I do apologise. There's Canadians all up the card, especially in the prelims, Canadian after Canadian. If they can start getting a pattern together, of course that crowd will light up, and by the end of the night it should be a very good card and a very good pay-per-view. Maybe one of those that we reflect on later on in the year that sneaks up on us. But with the strength of 298 and 299 and 300, this does feel like a bit of a filler show, which is fair. Although I say fair, that's me being a British audience member that doesn't have to pay for the pay-per-view. I know in the States it's what, $70-$80, not including the membership for ESPN Plus. So you get ripped off there, but at least this side of the water, it's somewhat included in the package of the regular subscription package to TNT Sports. But yeah, Neil Magny against Mike Malott. This is a big opportunity for Mike Malott. Obviously, Neil Magny very much somewhat the gatekeeper in this division. Of course, 28-11. He's been there, done it, won the T-shirt, 36 years of age. He's come off the loss to Ian Gary, of course. He's very much in a win-loss part of his career. He's 3-3 in the last 6. Wins against Daniel Rodriguez, Phil Rowe, Max Griffin, losses to Gilbert Burns, Shavkat Rakhmonov. So he is losing to the upper echelon of this division. And Mike Malott is certainly someone way up, 32 years of age and in his prime, on a 5-fight win streak. Obviously, won at UFC 289 with Adam Fugitt, Yohan Lainesse, Mickey Gall. So he's got some good wins in his career, but this is certainly the biggest one. But I do think Neil Magny does the business. I think he's too good. He's been there, done it, won the T-shirt, as we said, and at 28-11, he's got a vastly more amount of experience than Mike Malott. And again, I see it going the distance, but I go and put it in the favour of the Haitian sensation. In the middleweight division, we've got Chris Curtis versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Obviously, Chris Curtis, 13-10 again, very, very experienced fighter now. 36 years of age, of course, trains with Sean Strickland. Hence probably why he's on this card, because both of them can tie up 5 camps together. Similarly, he's on a win-loss Stating his career is 2-2 with one no contest most recently. The aim of the fight with clash of heads in round 2. Lost to Gastelum and Hermansen, so again, top of the division fight, it's just beaten. Obviously, Jackman Buckley, Rodolfo Vieira wins on his career. Brendan Allen, Phil Halls. So he has got some good wins on his career. Marc-Andre Barrier, of course, a veteran in the UFC now. 2 wins, 2-win streak for him as well. Wins over Julian Marquez and Eric Anders. It was most recently supposed to fight Mika Pereira, but that fight got cancelled. I believe that's the fight that Pereira missed weight on, if I'm correct. Of course, he missed weight against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and that was what caused him to move up to middleweight, but that fight got cancelled. Of course, Chris Curtis, ironically, had Dricus Du Plessis to fight, but that got cancelled as well. So, if he gets a win, if they both win, I'm not saying Chris Curtis will get the next title shot, but there's room there for him to push the line. Say, hey, we're supposed to fight in the past. He's probably going to get 2 to 4 wins in that time, but it certainly opens the door, doesn't it? I'm going to go with Chris Curtis to get the win. I think it's going to be a 50-50 night for the Canadians, in particular Canadian MMA. I think, of course, if he gets off to a good start, that momentum carries through. But I do see wins for Malcolm Gordon, Jasmine Delicious. I'm going to get that name right eventually. Gillian Robertson, I think, will get a win against Poliana Viana, but that's a very close one. In the strawweight division, Charles Jourdain versus Sean Woodson is a fantastic fight. I think, 15-6-1 against 10-1-1. If Charles Jourdain gets the win, fantastic for him. Brad Katona, obviously won the Ultimate Fighter last year. 2-time winner of the Ultimate Fighter, the only one fighter to do it. Against Garrett Armfield, I think he gets the job done also. Brad Katona is a very talented fighter. And that leads us to discuss the British talent on the card. Of course, the almighty Arnold Allen is on the card, 19-2. Coming off that loss to Max Holloway, but it's a decision loss. He didn't look outnumbered or outclassed. He just looked 10% below. And that's okay because Max Holloway is the former champion. Many see him as the number 1 contender still in this division. I know we've got Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria coming up very soon. But a lot of people do see, Max Holloway is the number 1, if not the number 2. I'd say, obviously, if Volkanovski loses, that would be number 3. But he's up there. And he's still, 31-32, of course. Max Holloway fighting at UFC 300 against Justin Gage. He thought it would be a title. That would be a very interesting fight. Is it going to be a permanent move for him? Is it something to do in the meantime while the division at featherweight sorts itself out? Who knows? And obviously, if Holloway wins that, what does he do next? Would that be a meth belt? But prior to that, of course, Arnold Allen was flying up the featherweight rankings. A win against Calvin Cater, I know that was a knee injury, but a win nonetheless. Knocked out Dan Hooker. He obviously suckered himself down to 145 when he was in that weird period of trying to find a win at 155 or 145. That experiment didn't work. But he got wins over Sadiq Youssef, Gilbert Melendez on there as well, Mads Burnell, of course. And, also Elo Ed is 17-0, undefeated, a highly talented prospect to be a future champion. So this is a big fight for Arnold Allen. And a tough fight as well. We know what Evloev can bring. He's got wins over Dan Ige, Hakim Dawudu, Diego Lopez. Was supposed to fight Ilia Topuria prior. And he's got 2 fights cancelled with Bryce Mitchell. It's an interesting bout. And obviously, if Evloev wins, it shoots him up the rankings and probably puts him next in line for a belt because he's undefeated. Beating someone like Arnold Allen, who's just come to that loss to Max Holloway. It certainly puts him above the likes of maybe Brian Ortega. Maybe sets him in line with, I know, Ortega and Yair Rodriguez fighting again in Mexico City. So maybe the winner of this one gets the winner of that, so to speak. But I'm hoping Arnold Allen can get the job done. 17-2. Put right and fix what he did against Max Holloway. There wasn't much wrong. Again, it just showed that there's a level to get to for Arnold Allen. And at 29 years of age, he's still coming to his prime. But Evloev is no joke. Also, 29 years of age, he can use his wrestling, he can use his power. This might be fight of the night. You can see it going that way. Both have the ability to dominate each other. So a really good, really close fight. I'm hoping Arnold gets it done and sets up maybe I don't know if we're going to get a pay-per-view in London. With obviously Leon and Tom Aspin was both holding belts. But if there's a fight night coming up very soon, Arnold Allen should be right at the top of that. Again, against the likes of Brian Ortega or Yair Rodriguez. So yeah, And of course, Sam Patterson is on the card against Jan Lanisi. Obviously, Sam Patterson he had a rough start, didn't he? He made his debut on that London card in July or on the pay-per-view, and he got knocked out quite viciously, Sam Patterson. His second defeat, should we say. But, again, 7-100, I only want the Brits to get the job done, don't you? And he's coming into this off the back of that loss, which he would have learned a lot from, because it was a brutal knockout. How he bounces back from that would be interesting as well, because, again, the brutality of the knockout is going to be a bit gun shy. It's not his first loss, so he's dealt with losses before, and he got TKO'd in his first loss as well in his second fight. So maybe he's going to be able to do what he did in his previous loss, bounce back and go on a 10-fight win streak or 9-fight win streak. But I don't want to see him hide too much either. Obviously, he's coming off the Contender Series as an alumni, and again, he's fought on Brave. He's fought some tough competitors. King Cowley, a noticeable name on his record. It was supposed to fight Nasrat Haqparast, which would have been interesting in September. But I do think Sam Patterson gets the job done and gets his first official UFC win this weekend. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments down below. Are you going Sean Strickland or Dricus Du Plessis in the main event? Co-main event? Who would be the Bantamweight champion? Would it be Raquel Pennington or would it be Mayra Bueno Silva? Let us know in the comments down below. Make sure to give this video a like. Give us your thoughts on the backdrop below. It's brand new. We've got all the posters of some recent fights, some old fights. Thought we'd give it a little bit of a sprinkling going into the new year. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.